Good evening, everyone. Call to order the meeting of Board of Adjustment, City of Delray Beach on March 7, 2024. Diane, please call the roll.
Richard Kasser.
Present.
Brenda Cullinan.
Here.
John DeLacio.
Present.
Jesse Slasser.
Here.
Tiana Morales.
Present.
Ora Ramirez.
Here.
Alec Hayes.
Here. We do not. Do we have any changes to the agenda today?
No, there's no changes to the agenda.
Can someone please make a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Richard Kasser.
Yes.
Brenda Cullinan.
Yes.
John DeLacio.
Yes.
Jesse Slasser.
Yes.
Tiana Morales.
Yes.
Ora Ramirez.
Yes.
Alec Hayes.
Yes.
William, are you doing the elections?
I usually do because we don't have a chair at that point. So, Chair, if you'd like to lead the election, you can. If you'd like me to do it, I'd be happy to assist.
Please do.
Okay. So we, due to seats that were vacated that have now been refilled, we do have a vacancy for the second vice chairperson. So we'll open that up for any nominations at this time.
I'll nominate Brenda.
Do we have a second for that nomination?
Second.
Are there any additional nominations for second vice chairperson? Okay, Diane, can you please call the roll?
And the motion was made by?
The nomination was by Mr.
Slasher.
And I believe the second was Mr. Kasser? Yes.
Richard Kasser.
Yes.
Brenda Cullinan.
Yes.
John DeLacio.
Yes.
Jesse Slasser.
Yes.
Tiana Morales.
Yes.
Ora Ramirez.
Yes.
Alec Hayes.
Yes. We do not have any minutes to be approved, so we're gonna move on to swearing in the public. Please note that if you are planning to speak on any items tonight, you need to be sworn in.
Please raise your right hand by the authority vested in me, the notary of the state of Florida. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Is there anyone in the public tonight who wishes to speak on the items that are not on the agenda? We don't have anyone. Right. This hearing shall be conducted in accordance with the City of Delray Beach quasi-judicial rules. The applicant and the city shall be permitted to present their case. The public shall be allowed to speak for 3 minutes each, or a maximum of 6 minutes if the person represents an organization or a group of people who are present but agree not to speak. The board members, staff, and the applicant may be allowed to cross-examine a witness. The city or the applicant will be allowed to offer rebuttal testimony. The decision to approve or deny an application or appeal may not legally be made upon personal views as to whether a project is a good project or not, nor may a decision be based on the numbers of citizens who support or oppose a particular project. The law requires that all decisions must be made on the basis of whether the project meets the requirements of law, the comprehensive plan, and the land development regulations. And now we will be moving to the first item on the agenda today, which is 690 Eagle Circle, 2024-047, consideration of 2 variance requests from Land Development Regulations, Section 434K, Development Standards Matrix Residential Zoning Districts, to reduce the existing front north setback to 22 feet, where a minimum of 30 feet is required, and to reduce the required side street setback, Eagle Drive, to 10 feet, where a minimum of 15 feet is required, associated with an addition to the existing single-family residence. And we have, on behalf of owner Scott LaChapelle and planner Alexia Howald. We will be Before we start, is there any ex parte communication on this item today?
Yes.
From anyone? Please.
I visit the site.
You visited the site. Anyone else?
Yes, I visited the site.
Okay. And we're gonna be starting with the applicant.
Yes, hello. My name is Elena Gospodinova, Scott LaChapelle's wife. I'm here to present today in front of you. Excuse me if I stutter. You might be the biggest audience I've presented to ever since school, so bear with me, please. Our single-family home is located in Tropic Palms neighborhood. Are you ready for me to proceed with the presentation? Okay, perfect. Okay. If we can, just, if Alexia or Ms. Howell could, submit the record, or submit the file into the record prior to the applicant presenting.
Just submit the item to the record.
Yes, Alexia Howell, senior planner. I'd like to, for the record, enter file number 2024-047. And the applicant is here to present.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So, I guess I would move to the next slide because I don't know what much to say about this. The property size is 0.2093 acres. You know, low density. We can all see there. Zoning district is single family residential. It's a single family home and is northeast and southwest from a R1AA. Lot 627 in Tropical Palms, and I'm gonna go ahead and move to the next slide if nobody has any questions. Okay, so we are requesting a variance to the setback requirements. We are requesting a reduction in the front setback from 30 feet to 22 feet, and a reduction of the side setback from 15 feet to 10 feet. This would allow us room to expand our current one-car garage into a two-car garage, while also removing the current legal nonconformity. I think you can see on the drawing over there that what the lines are. Anyone has any questions for me about this slide? Okay, moving on to the next
There
one.
will be a time at the end when we'll be asking questions, so you are free to just finish.
Oh, okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, there we are. Okay, sorry. This is the next one. There are several variance criteria that must be met. The first and most important one being, does a special condition exist? It does. Single-family residences require at least 2 spaces, and said spaces shall not be located within the front or side street setback areas. Currently, 1 parking space is counted within the one-car garage beyond that setback area, whereas the second required parking space is located on the driveway within the front setback area. The existing conditions are considered a legal nonconformity. By allowing this variance, we would conform to the requirement of having 2 spaces outside the required setback. I don't think this is the correct slide. Okay. In addition, I'd like that this one is the correct one. The existing one-car garage is insufficient to safely park 1 car. As you can see, by modern standard, this is a small family car, and it just barely fits into the garage with insufficient room to open the doors without damaging either the car or the garage. The literal interpretation of the regulation would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties subject to the same zoning. Yes, they do. As mentioned, the literal interpretation of the regulations do not allow 2 parking spaces outside of the setback requirements. Okay, and as shown here in those pictures, you see other properties in our neighborhood in Tropic Palms that are subject to the same zoning, and they're already enjoying a 2-car garage. Again, we're not asking for any special privilege, only the enjoyment of a car garage that is very common in tropic palms. Oops, I'm sorry. I think I missed a slide. I think this is another one. Those are some of our neighbors. One of the homes is right across us. The variance is the minimum that will make possible the reasonable use of the proposed two-car garage. As shown, the existing one-car garage has an external width of 12 feet and about 18 inches is lost in the walls, which brings us down to the width of the actual garage to 10.5 feet, which is insufficient to park one modern-sized car. By adjusting slightly more than doubling the width of the existing garage, I think this was the correct slide for this, there will be just enough room to safely park 2 cars. And the granting of this variance will allow us to update our home to its best use as a single-family home, removing some of the drawbacks of homes built in the 1970s. The proposed addition will be in harmony with the rest of our neighborhood.
I think that's it. Now we're going to have the city presented.
Can I ask a question?
I think we're gonna have
At the
more
end? Okay,
discussion
that's
later.
fine. I thought she asked a question.
Good evening, board members. Alexia Howald, senior planner. I'm here to speak about 690 Eagle Circle regarding 2 variance requests. So here we have the subject property located at 690 Eagle Circle within the Tropic Palms neighborhood. It has a land use of low density. Zoning district is 1RAA, single family. So here I have an aerial of the subject property with the single family home. It's situated at the southeast corner of Eagle Drive and Eagle Circle within the Tropic Palms neighborhood. The single family home was built in 1972 with a 1-car garage. In 1972, the code required 2 spaces to be required for the dwelling unit, and it could be situated in the driveway, so at that time it met the code requirement. And here are the R1AA zoning setbacks. So the front here, we have a 30-foot setback. This portion of the home actually protrudes out more than where the garage is. So that's the front setback on Eagle Circle, which a 30-foot setback is required, and it's meeting. A side street setback required is 15 feet. The home is currently set back at 25.15 feet. And the rear setback is required at 10 feet. The subject property is set back at 19.3. And the side setback is also a 10-foot setback, and it's situated currently at 18.4. And so in the current code today, 2 spaces are required to be outside of the front and the side street setback. As you can see, there is 1 car within the front setback on the driveway, and the other car is counted within the garage that is outside of the front setback, so it's considered legally non-conformity. Also to note is the circular driveway is is within the right-of-way. So at the time of permitting, some adjustments may need to happen to accommodate the driveway to be inside the property line. As well to note is at the intersection of Eagle Circle and Eagle Drive, from that point of the property line and the driveway, 25 foot is required. So measured from here to here, 25 feet at the intersection, a driveway cannot be located within that 25 feet. So again, during the building permitting, any extensions of the driveway will have to be modified to comply with that 25 foot intersection setback. Also to note, any property or any streets within the Tropic Palms requires a 60-foot right-of-way. Currently, that neighborhood does have a 60-foot right-of-way. You can tell that there's the driveway or the drive going along here with a 19-foot swale. So there's ample space to provide sidewalks and things. So today, there's 2 variance requests to expand the existing single-family garage to a 2-car garage to encroach into the front and side street setback. Specifically, the front setback request is to reduce the setback to 22 feet, whereas a 30-foot is required, and to reduce the side street setback to 10 feet, whereas a 15-foot setback is required. And as you can see here is the addition proposed, and the outline in orange is the setback, and the outline in red is the property line. The 22 feet highlighted in yellow is measured from the property line to the proposed addition, and the 10-foot is also noted there. And here's approximate location of the proposed addition at the street level view. You can see there's the existing single-car garage, and outlined in red is the approximate location of the addition. So pursuant to LDR section 2411A5, criteria A through F, the board must find positive findings to approve a variance request. Criteria A and B are interwoven together. Basically, they say that that there are special or unique conditions of the existing conditions peculiar to the land, structure, or building, not shared by other properties in the area when applying the literal application of the zoning code would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties subject to the same zoning code. And criteria C is that the special conditions and circumstances have not been resulted from actions of the applicant. Criteria D is that the granting of the variance will not confer onto the applicant any special privileges that is denied to other land, structures, and buildings under the same zoning. And criteria E is that the reasons established in the variance petition justify the granting of the variance, and that the variance is the minimum variance that will possibly make possible the reasonable use of the land, building, and structure. And that criteria F is the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of existing regulations, will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. And so here we have analysis of the front setback. We have an aerial with the proposed site plan. The aerial, it has highlighted the subject property in red with the surrounding properties around. When we're taking an analysis of the variance request, we have to refer back to the criterias. And so the board shall analyze the request considering the criterias to determine the positive finding to approve a variance request. And so when we're looking at criteria A and B, which is any special conditions or circumstances unique to the lot, to the structure, or the land, that if you apply the literal application of the zoning code would deprive the applicant rights commonly enjoyed by other properties. And so the board should consider if there are any special conditions to the land or structure that would deprive the applicant from the addition. And the board shall also consider and the board shall also shall consider if there's the special conditions and circumstances have not resulted from the actions of the applicant. And criteria E is the reasons established in the variance petition justify the granting of the variance. And so the applicant has stated that The growing modern family requires multiple vehicles and additional space for vehicles are needed, and that the request is the minimum variance needed to allow a standard 24 by 24 car garage for a modern 2-car garage to make possible the reasonable use of the land. The board should consider if alternate designs could be explored to accommodate a 2-car garage while meeting the required setbacks. As well, and the board shall also consider criteria F, that the granting of the variance will be generally in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the existing regulations as and consistent with the neighboring properties. And the analysis for the site street setback, again, we have the aerial here with the proposed site plan. I've highlighted the addition in black, and the red highlight is also the portion of the addition that is encroaching into the side street setback and the front setback. The front setback is measured from the curvature of the property line, and so that impacts the proposed addition by a margin. So the setback is 22 feet from that property line. And the side street setback is a 10-foot setback. So the required is 15, so they're requesting to encroach 5 feet into that side street setback. I like to note as well as when we are reviewing single-family homes, the site visibility triangle, as noted in green, is a 25 foot connection from the intersection outward to the property line, forming a triangle to ensure no obstruction to the site when you're going around the corner. So at that moment right here, as you can see, there are no obstructions to the site visibility with the proposed addition. And that concludes the presentation. For the boards, there are 3 actions options. It's to move for approval, move for denial, or continue with direction. The board actions are divided for the front setback as well as the side street setback.
Thank you. Does anyone from the public wishes to comment on the subject? I don't think we have anyone today. Is there any rebuttal or cross-examination on any sides?
No.
No? All right. Then we'll be moving on to board discussion. Maybe we'll start from the left.
Actually, no, understood. I was a little confused with the front setback, but I understand now. So it requires 1-car garage in that neighborhood? No, 2-car garage for.
So the requirement is to have 2 spaces. In the 1970 code,
There was only 1
2
car.
spaces per single family, and it could be on the driveway. The current code today requires 2 spaces, however, to be beyond the front and side street setback. So the front setback is 30 feet and the side street is 15. So essentially, you'd have to build a garage, a 2-car garage, or a driveway that's outside of the setbacks to meet the requirement today.
Okay. No.
John, any questions?
Yeah, you mentioned the sidewalk so this this variance doesn't impact the ability to put a sidewalk in the future. Is that
No, it shouldn't. The sidewalk would be all outside of the property, so all on private or public right of way.
got it? And then I guess second question, the property size, and this may be common, but is below the minimum lot size for this designation. So is that given any consideration or weight in your report?
The lot size itself, the square footage,
Yeah.
not necessarily.
We didn't look at that aspect. Amy Alvarez, Development Services, for the record. We didn't look at that aspect when analyzing the request in the staff report, but that could be part of the board's consideration. Looking at what the lot size is, if it meets the criteria, of course. But it's not part of the request.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
I have a question to the applicant. If we could look at your presentation, you had one slide when you showed the actual layout of the new garage with dimensions. Can we look for this slide for a
Sure.
second, please?
I think it might be actually this one. I think maybe it's this one or
No, the one that was showing the outline of a proposed garage with dimensions. That's the one I would like to look at. Oh, there
This
you go. Is there a way to zoom in a little bit so we can look at these dimensions?
not on my.
Okay,
think so.
can you tell me what's the width and what's the depth of the garage?
So currently, the width is. I've measured this with my husband a million times, and now, of course, I don't remember it. Right now, I had it here. Okay, so right now the external width is 12 feet. However, the internal width is 10 and a half because you lose about 1.5 inches into the walls. And we're asking for the internal width to be 24. And when we deduct the about 1.5 inches from the walls, it would be about 22.5 width.
You're talking about interior dimension, this 22.5, yes?
Yes, the
Okay.
internal width of the garage. The
What
proposed
is this
garage.
dimension at the bottom, though? I really cannot see it.
It's
Oh,
27,
27 foot
27 feet,
and the depth of the garage is
26.10 inches.
I don't know if it's just my impression. It seems big for two-car garage. I don't understand why you guys have to go to 27 feet.
Because if we park both of our cars, we can't open the doors with a 24 by 24. I don't even have that big of a car. Mine is a Mazda CX-5, so is my husband's. And whenever we park at the current garage, I can't get out of the let alone grab anything. So we can't really right now use the garage as a garage, unfortunately. And if we just double it, right now the city would allow us to double it without a variance request. However, if we just double what we currently have, we're still not going to be able to open door for two cars. We're going to be using it as a one-car garage.
Can you say that again? I'm not sure I got it.
No,
The
no
last
worries.
thing, when you
So-
double versus, please say it again.
Sure. Let me just put maybe this one right now, for example, is my car trying to be parked inside. If I go in and I try to open doors, it doesn't work. So right now, by code, we're allowed to go just as wide as the 12 feet more. If we add 12 feet more to the current garage, we're not going to be able to fit two cars and open doors. You would have to either park one car and really park it maybe close to the wall if you don't have passengers and get out of the driver's seat, or you have to park still one car outside. If we are going by what the city is currently allowing us, we're still not going to be able to park both of our cars in this garage and use it as a normal garage. One car would have to be parked in there if you want to get in and out safely. And with kids, that gets tough.
Do you know what's the interior width when you double it, which you have right now? I'm
Yes.
just a little bit confused because I design many garages and I know the
Oh,
standard
okay.
size for double garage, and 24 by 24 is not even minimum to function properly. So it just want to figure out where this minimum dimensions came from.
So yes, it came. We measured quite a few times. We parked both cars and we opened the doors outside, and we measured where would that be? Where would that line be where your door doesn't hit the wall? So that's where it came to 27. 27, it will be the external width of the garage. However, internal, it's not going to be 27 because you're losing some inches on within
So
the
it's
walls.
gonna be what, 24?
Roughly 25.
And with
24 and a half.
25 feet interior, you guys are not able to get out of the cars?
No, we are. Yes, with that we will be. With that we will be. However, if we do what it's currently allowed, it's going to be after you take the walls, it's going to be roughly 21 and a half inches. So with 21, this is 10 and a half inside, and we can't get out. If we have 21, it's double of this, and we still can't get out. I hope that explains it better.
Are you measuring that when all the doors are open of
the
the
same
cars?
time?
Well, no, we're measuring it if both cars are parked next to each other, and I open my car's door, and I'm not hitting my husband's car, and whenever passenger door is open on his car, not hitting the wall. We're not measuring with both of our doors open next to each other. We're measuring if one is getting out, and then if you have passengers or kids in the other vehicle, that you're parking far away enough from the wall to be able to get in and out.
And you're leaving the existing depth of the garage the way it is, yes? You're only
Yes, we just
extending
don't
in
use it.
width.
Yes, we just don't really use it because, to be honest, I have damaged my car a little bit with it, so we've decided to kind of put on hold the use of it.
Are there any houses like near you similar to the same problem, or then?
There are houses with 2-car garages. Actually, our neighbor right across the street, his house used to be like ours. However, he has changed it completely. He has an RV garage and a 4-car garage, and it's a 2-story. We do have other neighbors that have their homes were built with 2-car garages. We're not the only ones with 1-car garage, and we have neighbors that have converted their garages into bedrooms too.
I will take a small break here.
I have a couple questions for the applicant as well as staff. So for the applicant, if you can go back to the plan.
Sure.
So,
This
okay, there we go. So you're going to be bringing the garage out into the 30-foot setback from the front, right? You're not going to just leave it where it is and expand over. You're going to be going to the front and the side.
Yes, if we could, we would. Yes.
Okay. And also, are you going to be expanding the driveway?
No, we are, I know we've been working with the city on what would be the new requirement because, as Alexa had mentioned, the circular driveway would have to be changed. We are aware that's out of code, so no. And in my understanding, we would do an adjustment on the driveway too, where it is actually not as wide in the beginning, and then it opens up to the garage.
Okay. And just since you live in the neighborhood and obviously you know, I know our second vice chair asked about other homes with this same problem, but there are other homes in the neighborhood that have 2-car garages.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Now for staff, looking at the front setback, if there was not the curve of the lot due to it being a corner lot, we wouldn't need a variance for the front, right? Because it would just be a straight shot and then 30 feet up.
So in the site plan, you can see the property line in red and then the setbacks in orange. I don't know if you can see that. So to answer your question, as long as the addition is within or outside of that setback, yes.
Okay. Okay. And then maybe this has relevance, maybe it doesn't, but were these setbacks in place when this was built, this house was built, or were the setbacks much greater, or was this house just placed on the lot by the builder just where it fit?
I don't recall what the setbacks were when the house was constructed. It looks like they were probably similar to what they are now, given that it's at a 30-foot setback at its foremost wall plane. I think it's really just the parking requirement that changed. Never mind. I don't want to make an assumption.
No. It's fine. Really, what I would.
The parking requirement did change. That's
Okay.
fact. I
Yeah.
was going to make an assumption statement that I'm
Yeah.
going to hold.
Yeah, I guess my question was, I guess could the builder have placed it somewhere more advantageous for, on the lot if there was a 2-car garage option for this model? I'm not sure. So, and then just to confirm the side setback on an interior lot, so not the corner. But that if this was just 2 homes, home on one other side, just an interior lot, both side setbacks would be 10 feet. Okay.
Correct.
So the corner lot really is why we're here, because of the variance, because the street sides add more setbacks to any building area.
Right. There's a larger setback on the side. And then because of the curve, like you mentioned earlier, that's what's prompting the front setback is the curve. So.
Okay. That does it for me.
Questions, Brenda?
No questions.
I have a question to the city. Was the size of garage ever discussed that it maybe is a little bit too big? Is it really the minimum that's required for the use of 2 cars?
Well, I mean, technically this is an addition.
Mm-hmm.
And so looking at the addition that they've requested, that's how we were analyzing it, not whether or not it's too big for 2 cars. I think that would be
That's
part
for
of
us.
the board
Mhm.
to consider that if they're able to shrink it down to better meet the requirements, that would be part of your consideration.
So I just want to say I completely understand the need of the 2-car garage. From my experience, though, the width that you are requesting is excessive. Like, I don't know what structure the house is, but let's say we're talking about 8-inch plus 2-inch for each exterior wall. If you subtract it from this over 27 feet, you have more than enough for the width. I just doubt if what you're requesting is really a minimum to comfortably use this garage. The width, to me, is excessive. Have you, I don't know if you have an architect who proposed it or it's just the plan
Yes.
was created by you. Have you guys considered?
We
Have you
spoke
seen
with
it?
the architect, and again, based on parking our cars, talking to the architect, he said that his proposed would be this, what we have drawn here, to where, if you open the right car's door, you're not going to hit the wall on the right, or you're not going to hit the car on the left, and if you're opening doors on the car on the left, you're not going to do the same. With a smaller garage, yes, there could be one of the cars would have to be parked closer to the wall, considering if you have passengers or you don't have passengers. So with the consulting with our architect, he said if we are asking for variance, ask for something that would ultimately work for you and see if it could happen or not happen, and not have to it's a big expense to have to do it, and then every time to one of the cars you would have to think like, oh, which car has the car seats, like I can't take this car, I have to park it closer to the wall and whatnot. So that was the reasoning. Him and my husband and myself, the least involved, kind of made up this plan.
Yeah, to me, it seems like he proposed something like ideal condition for that. I don't know how often you actually park 2 cars at the same time and both of them have open doors that they cannot collide in any way. It's a big garage to me. I don't know. Does anyone else have any questions?
Did you take into consideration the sizes of any other cars than just the 2 that you currently have?
No, just the 2 that we currently have, since that's what we're going to be using in the future. And the idea is not to have both cars' doors open at the same time. It's just whenever one car has a door open, not to be damaging the other car.
I'm just curious. I'm not very familiar with a Mazda CX-5. So you said that's on the smaller side.
It's like I correct me if I'm wrong, mid-size SUV. It's not a big.
It's not a Suburban or anything.
No, it's a smaller even than an Audi Q5, if anyone has. It's smaller than an X5 for sure. It's on the smaller end of an SUV.
Okay.
And your goal really is not to have, if you park two cars straight in, not have passengers on one side door and driver door fully open, and everyone to get out. It's just to have one car with both doors open, one car, both doors open, able to be opened, but not to have both of those cars have the the doors that face the middle of the garage, not to have both of those open at the same time.
No, that won't allow. Actually, the 27 will not allow both of the cars to have their doors open at the same time. It would only allow one car to have doors open at the same time without damaging the other vehicle, and parking far enough from the wall where you're not damaging your vehicle on the wall or the wall.
Okay, and I think you either said it or it was in your submission that 24 by 24 is, per your architect, kind of the standard two-car garage size.
Correct. That it will be external width, 24 by 24, which results in roughly 21 and a half of internal width.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, this is 10 and a half internal width, and with 10 and a half, as you can see, my car, I can't open doors. So if we add another 10 and a half next to it, it would be essentially the same problem. Only one car would be able to get in or the other car, if we ever park it in, you would have to kind of do gymnastics to get out and not really move around with it.
Yeah, I have an older home too, and a narrower two-car garage. Mine's 21 feet front. Ooh. And I park two-door cars in the garage, and so I have to kind of shimmy out on my side. So I definitely sympathize with wanting to be able to fully open and ingress and egress of the cars, and be able to park normally. So.
I think it gets tough with, whenever you're carrying groceries or anything, you're trying to open the door. Kids, we don't have kids yet, however, it's in the plans, but we have nephews and nieces. So every time you're trying to take a baby out with a car seat and not hit anything in the meantime, that's where usually someone gets hurt, usually the car.
Yeah.
Do we have any more questions?
Ready, Chair? Okay.
Oh, actually, I wanted to ask, yes, because in the options, it was mentioned that the variance can be approved, can be denied, or it can be modified. What if we were talking about reducing garage in width? How would that formally work? Is it something that the board would have to recommend? How does it work usually?
So the motion that was on the slide would just continue with direction.
Mm-hmm.
If the board feels like the application could not be approved as is, they can communicate that, and then the applicant can request to continue with direction so that they would like to make modifications based upon concerns they've heard. That's when that motion would really come before the board. Because the applicant has due process rights and it's their application, they can choose to proceed or not with whatever they've presented. We do require the applicant to agree to that type of motion as well. So, and we would need to make that motion and move forward with that type of direction if it was going to be done prior to doing the findings. I mean, once I start the board order and we're making the findings, we're really moving forward with some type of motion of finality, whether it's an approval or a denial.
So we have to make that decision before?
I just want to ask, I know that Rich sympathizes. Is anyone who's got the same concerns as me or no?
I think I agree with you. I mean, it's huge.
To me, it really seems
And it's
very
not,
wide.
when it's necessary, I totally understand, but right now, everyone has the same standard garage, and I see everyone makes it work.
Because what you're saying sounds great. I would like that too, but unfortunately, that's how it works. Like, if you want all the door open, that's, and I would not like the variance to be denied, and
I agree 100% with that too.
Would you be open to reducing the width of this garage?
And we're asking for, in my understanding, 5 feet on the side. That's what the variance itself on the side is, for 5 feet. In my understanding, I'm sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, we do have the 12 allowed. We're only asking for 5. So,
But one of the conditions is that it's a minimum. Is it the minimum? That's my concern. That's required.
well, I hate to answer this without really knowing the answer to this, because I was not prepared to, think of it this way. I would say maybe 3 feet would be enough for us as a variance too. It would be lovely if we can get the 5, and I think 3 feet would work too, because the current 12, it's not enough. Like, that's what we.
Remind me, what's this clear width right now? Interior, not exterior, but interior.
10 and a
Remind me
half.
that.
Interior-
On the proposed, the one that you're
Oh,
proposing.
on the proposed, if we go to 27 external, it would be 24.5 internal.
24.5. That's how thick the walls are there.
That's what I was told by the architect. I'm sorry if I'm wrong.
I think, Chair, if the board is probably, asking the applicant if they would like to continue with direction, but she's not prepared with some of the with the possibility of a reduction, whether or not she comes back with a reduction, I guess, is to be seen if that's the way we went, but she would at least have the ability to confer with her architect, or even have him come before you with her and have that option.
So what would
as
ha-
well,
what would
so
we
that
have to
she's
do?
not playing a guessing game,
I understand.
since it's not her realm.
Absolutely.
Is there a separate open discussion after this, or is this just questions for the applicant and yourselves, or can we ask questions of each other now too?
You can ask whatever you want right
You're
now.
in board
Right,
discussion.
I guess, yeah, because do we know 24 by 24 is, I guess I'm not familiar with average garage sizes. I grew up in a small garage too. I don't think just because something was away 20 years ago or 40 years ago, that's still normal. But if that is, I don't know what excessive means today. I'm not.
So I would say that 21 is like rich size. It's not very comfortable. 22 is minimum. 24 by 24 is very
Plenty.
comfortable. Like we're talking about high-end residential. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem somewhat wide, especially given where you said that it's 27 feet 1 inches, 24 would be the interior kind of paint to
24.5.
paint.
Correct.
24.5. So that means you're losing 2+ feet in the walls, but one of them is an exterior wall, and it would be built concrete block to code.
Just 10 inches.
Yeah. So,
Still sounds
yeah.
a lot of space subtracted for exterior walls. That's one. So if we wanted the applicant to investigate further, if it's possible to reduce in width, what would we have to do right now?
Well, first the applicant would have to agree with that path forward.
Okay.
If the applicant agrees that that's how they'd like to proceed with their application, and that's the board's desire, then it would just be a motion to continue with direction. Because it's a variance, Amy, we would want to do that to a date and time certain. So we would select the next date and time that this board would meet normally. And then the applicant would just come back at that time with either revisions or further evidence to present to the board to support the application as been presented today.
Before we ask the applicant, are other board
It
members?
sounds like you would like to see more specific details, because that's a
Absolutely.
very
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
simple drawing that we're
Instead
looking
of
at.
schematic drawing, if we could see what are the actual dimensions inside.
Okay. Okay.
right?
And the architect could be.
Yes, architect will know exactly what the exterior walls thickness and everything. He will know exactly what needs to be shown.
He may even be able to come
I see.
to, you know.
He
I don't
said
think
no
there are-
to coming.
I don't
We
think the
already
architect
asked
did
him.
any favors by not putting anything on the walls. Because, I
Right,
mean, where I
maybe
grew up, it
that
looks
could have
huge on that
the
picture,
internal
but
dimensions on it.
I,
you're
you
asking.
typically have lawnmowers and other things in garages, so it just looks big there. I'm not convinced it is too big.
And I just
And-
want to say that the software that the drawing is created, this is 8-inch wall. So even the way it's graphically shown right now, it's suspicious that, suspicious. It doesn't just sound, realistic that it would be not even full 25 feet interior with this thickness of the wall, So, that would be my recommendation. I don't know if you guys are agreeing.
Yeah.
I agree.
That we would
Yeah.
propose it to you. If you could, investigate further what the minimum would be there that you guys need, because this is a lot in width.
Okay. Because we were told to look, I think it was the minimum what it would put it to best use, and that's why we went with that.
And even through
This was
the
the
standard
architect's
size,
recommendation.
you
Sorry,
can
Correct.
still open the door and get out, not completely open, but I seen it. All my friends with kids, and it's comfortable.
Yeah.
By the standard size.
And our other thoughts was that, we all live in Florida and very few of us are fortunate with a basement. So that's another thing. Things like bicycles and,
Still have
all kinds of things are usually stored in the garage. So for that reason, we wanted to have a comfortable garage to where we can keep our bicycles as well and all kinds of.
Well, what's going on when it comes to the depth, the north of the garage? What about all this space that you have up there for storage?
It looks big on the picture, but honestly, I should have probably taken a picture. Once you park your car, it's kind of like a whoosh out. So it does look, I know on the graphics maybe didn't do me any favor over here, but it's not, you don't have an actual this much space from the car to the wall. With the expansion, maybe that's shown with the expansion, but currently you can't really, you're going around your car, but it's still a little bit of a practice.
Well, looking at the photo on the left, we believe you that this is a teeny tiny garage right now, but if you could provide us with something, that shows a little bit better what would be the actual interior space there on the proposed garage, and what this minimum width would be. I don't know if this is something that you agree to proceed with.
Well, otherwise our application will be denied, I'm assuming, so I think that would be the only positive outcome.
Yeah, I just think it would be, again, since we're questioning the width and what the actual kind of need is, coming back with more architectural drawings and something a little bit more detailed just from an interior perspective would be key, and also in keeping too with the surrounding homes, because I think in just looking at the aerials and looking at some of the other homes too, those homes, if the 2-car garages were built in 1971, 2, and 3, when those homes were constructed, they are probably very narrow. So to have, again, something just that's in harmony with the other homes. I know you said the home across the street has a 4-car garage and an RV garage and all that.
When we look in here, this is a standard garage door. This is 18 feet by 8, which you're looking at, this garage door. So this width, it cannot be 27 feet for the width of this exterior garage.
I don't know what the width of those garages are. It is a 2-car garage. I'm not aware of what's their width. This is the left corner left picture is the house right across from us. And that on top you can kind of see the RV garage, and from the fence you can't see. His is roughly 3.5 car garage, and it used to be exactly like our house. It was remodeled in the 2000s, and this is that was our other reason of thinking of asking, is because across the street we live across the street from someone who has to put somewhere his RV and all of his cars.
The problem is not the size, is that you're using the setbacks for, I'm assuming if she wasn't using the setbacks, you can build. You can do the addition, is that you're using the setbacks for this. So I understand your necessity, but it has to be, for us to give you this permission on the setbacks, it has to be really a necessity, and the size is just, for us, we think is extra necessary.
Yes. So one of the conditions is that it's really a minimum variance that you need to use it, and it doesn't come across right now this way.
Okay.
So if you could agree to that, to come back, provide us with more information, I think that we would all welcome it, right?
Absolutely.
So Chair, since there's public notice associated with the request, and as was mentioned, we need to continue it to a date certain. The next meeting is April 4th, so I don't know if off the top of the applicant's head, if you know if you're available on that date, but also, so that's April 4th, and of course it's the first Thursday of April. Our agenda posts March 27th, and so we would need any revised information from the applicant by March 21st, which is still kind of tight, but understanding the circumstances so that we can provide a revised staff report and analysis to the board in time for the March 27th agenda posting. But, of course, if for whatever reason those dates end up not working out for the applicant, yes, you've continued it to a date certain, but if that doesn't work out, we could put it on a future agenda, just that the notices would have to go out again.
Okay, so
with the new.
So we would have to send the letters again, right?
Not for April 4th.
Not for April 4th?
Right.
Okay, do we have to put new signs up?
No. You already have the sign. We can modify that date, and we can talk about that separate. But for April 4th, you don't need to do the mailers again, because we're continuing it to date certain.
Okay, and what time on April 4th?
The same time.
5 p.m. Could I just check something on my phone? Because my citizenship actually interview is on April 4th. So I just want to check the time
we don't
for
want to
that.
conflict with that.
Yeah.
If not, we could continue to the first Thursday in May as well. Just
As long as
we're
it's,
here the first Thursday of every month.
as long as I think it's more in the morning than in the afternoon. But if you could just check that, and I'll let you know.
So you just have to make a motion of this?
Yes. We still need a motion.
No, I think that this is all it would have to be.
What's this official motion called?
So at the, I believe at the end of the staff report is usually where the proposed motions are.
Motion of continuation with guidance? was
Yeah,
it?
so it's moved to continue with direction,
Okay.
but if we do a date certain, whether it's the April or the May, we would have to reference that in the motion as well. So you just say like 2.
Wasn't allowed to hear.
Did you look everything up?
And
Yes.
I just have a question. There was some just internal discussion, and it's actually a great question. If the applicant comes back with the same garage dimensions, seeking the same variance, but has more detail that we're requesting, and we say, okay, we can get behind you, but not at the 27, but at 25 or 24. Could that be an approval, or is it just based on what is applied for?
So generally speaking, I don't advise the board to approve an amendment in the middle of the application or presentation. So it depends on where the board would prefer that request to go, and then we usually confer with staff, with Amy, and make sure that whatever direction is being provided is sufficient and staff understands it and can proceed. So I don't feel comfortable saying for certainty that you could or could not do an approval in that manner. It would really be dependent on the board's discussion and what's happening, and then of course it's the applicant's application, so they'd have to agree if there'd be some type of reduction as well.
Can the board consider 2 concurrent applications? So one at this variance and one with a lesser variance, or does it need to be only one put forward at a time?
We don't typically present options like that where, the board tell us whether you're approving A or B. Again, it's kind of that discussion that will be had about whether if they're requesting 5 feet, but 3 feet seems to be sufficient, the applicant agrees to 3 feet. But typically an applicant does not come in and say, here's an application for 5 feet and here's an application for 3 feet and pick which one you like. So it'll really be up to the applicant to decide, in all likelihood, if this is continued and they come back, whether they're proceeding with the 5-foot request with additional evidence to present to the board, or whether they are electing to modify the request based upon feedback they received today.
And you're clear
Yes,
on that.
I am. Noon, USCIS, and 5 o'clock with you guys.
And you're clear on what we're
On
seeking
what I
and the
need,
instructions.
Yes, I
Okay.
will be here on April 4th.
I think the other thing too, if you could include dimensions on the internal renderings, like
Okay.
average size of vehicle, if you're going to use the garage for storage, where you position that more, assuming this is appropriate, but not just the cars in the garage, how you'd actually use the garage.
Okay. And maybe it will help you if I take a few more photos of the garage in its current state too, so you can see the
Yes.
internal.
Yes, and if you could record what's the actual exterior width of garage right now and what's the actual interior width. This way we will know how much we're using for the thickness of the exterior walls, and we're gonna have a clear condition, right? What we're subtracting that.
Okay.
Right?
Do you think she should have the architect come and,
I think that as long as it's
not gonna be
documented,
necessary? No?
it's up to you, but
We did ask him, and he said that is not something in his spectrum. He said, he does the drawings and everything else for us, but it's a time-consuming task for him to come and speak and have the time of his day, because understandably he deals with a lot of clients and he can't go present for everybody. So we did talk to him about this already, and he just said that it's not something he's able to take on at this time.
I think that this is up to you. If you would like him to be here, this is not necessity, as long as we are provided the drawings that show the clear existing condition and clear, proposed condition. That's not necessary.
Is the size of the door actually shown too, or just the total width of the garage? I don't know.
Total width of the garage.
Well, I assume that you would be going with standard size,
Standard size
right, of
garage.
the door.
That is something I'm not sure of, because I don't know what is the standard sizing
So
for
the
doors.
standard width for the double one would be 18 feet. If you want to do something non-standard, then the prices usually are extreme. So I would say that what we're seeing in these photos here is 8 by 18 or 7 by 18, depending on what's the height there. But that's the
Okay.
standard size for the double garage door, 18 feet.
Okay. That would be something that I would ask our architect and my husband, what is the plan for that, but I'm not aware of what kind of door we'll be going with.
These two, yeah.
Just putting a note here.
Do we make an emotion?
If the board's done with questions, just want to make sure with the applicant, if they postpone the item with direction to April 4th at 2024, 5:01 p.m., you're agreeable to that motion?
Yes.
Okay. So that would be, just like I said, it'd be a motion to continue with direction to the April 4th, 2024 Board of Adjustment meeting.
Someone please make it?
Yeah,
Did you make the motion?
he's gonna make the motion.
What's the proper procedure? I'll read it off. So I'd like to motion to continue with guidance to April 4th, 2024.
And I'll second it. Okay,
That's it.
it's good.
Richard Kasser,
Yes.
Brenda Cullinan,
Yes,
John DeLacio,
Yes.
Jesse Slusser,
Yes.
Tiana Morales,
Yes.
Laura Ramirez,
Yes.
Alex Hayes.
Yes.
Do we need to do that for both variances, or just? is it covered?
No, because it's a singular item,
Okay.
so that motion should be sufficient for both variances.
All right.
That's it.
So this item would be now closed for today, right?
Okay.
Thank you very
Well,
much.
Thank you
for
very
your
much.
time. I will see you again next month.
We'll see you next month.
Do we have any comments from the staff tonight?
Just your upcoming board meetings. You know, your next one will be April 4th. Before the meeting, I was hoping to tell you it doesn't look like we're going to have a meeting on April 4th, but now we will. And then after that is May 2nd. Again, all of the meeting dates are on a schedule provided, although we have 2 new board members. Welcome to both of you. If it hasn't happened already, Diane Miller, our board secretary, will be providing you with any materials that we need. We'll make sure that everybody has them as well. Primarily the calendar, and I guess the board rules and everything else that you need to know. But so we always have a meeting unless one is going to be canceled, in which case we'll let you know. So no, that's it. And just again, welcome to our 2 new members.
Welcome.
Yep.
William?
Yep, just wanted to echo that as well. Welcome, Ms. Morales and Mr. DeLacio to the board. It's a pleasure to have you. 2 reminders just for today. There's an ethics training, so if you've not completed that, make sure you do that as soon as possible. And then also make sure that you know and have access to your city email. And if you need help with either of those 2 items, just contact Ms. Miller and she'll connect you with the appropriate department to provide help or give you guidance on how to get those 2 things resolved. That's it.
If I can, just to follow up on the city email, that's how we will communicate. I mean, unless of course we call you, but that's where your email communications will be to, not to your personal emails. So, yeah. So we just need to make sure that they're working.
All good. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
You got a good one for your first.
I need a reason. Listen,